prices. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
The station you hear.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Hundreds of Chattanoogans are set to be displaced by the end of this month. The owner of Chat City Suites told residents they have to pack up and leave. Reason being the parent company decided not to renew the lease. Several nonprofits have stepped in to help. The Cleveland Police Department is trying to track down Casey Nicole Carter, who hasn't been seen since November. Reports say she left home with an unknown man in a white VW Jetta. Police believe they may be headed to Georgia. She'd been just released from the Bradley County Justice Center. Hamilton County Sheriff Jim Hammond assured the public he's not going to resign over the Charles Toney debacle. He was quoted by the TFP saying, "The only time I would resign is if I was doing something illegal, unethical, or immoral." Charles Toney, a.k.a. Interstate Tax, was badly beaten by a deputy during an arrest. An internal investigation is ongoing. The Sean Hannity Show every weekday from 3 to 6. Russell Stroud, Nuga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Have a car wreck in Tennessee? Why hire an Alabama billboard lawyer for your car wreck? You'll never, ever meet that guy. Warren and Griffin work here, live here. You get to know them. If you have a car wreck, call Warren and Griffin. 265-4878, 265-4878. And let me tell you, they've got a killer thing going on right now, the hands-free Tennessee petition to save lives and make our roads safer. Put down your cell phones and just drive.
I'm the dude, that or his dudeness, duder, or El Duderino, if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Nuga Radio 92.7. Good morning, beautiful people here in the city of Chattanooga. Your girl Marie Mott with the Marie Mott Show. Y'all know what it is. I'm taking it from the streets to City Hall to the mayor's office. Can't leave out the police department. From the valley low to the mountaintop, giving you guys a bird's eye view to what's going on here in the city of Chattanooga. Good morning. Oh, man. Woo. We're almost through the first week of the new year already. Oh, my goodness. Good morning, everyone. I know it's hot and heavy on, actually got a chance to do the 10 to 11 slot, and we're going to take another way. So we're going to talk about something completely different. No more police, no NAACP. I have Miss Monique Weeks. She was here with us last year. And so you're going to see her more frequently talking about various different subjects that are in alignment with women's health, babies' health. I had a wonderful time with her when she came on last year. And so I'm looking forward to having her on the show every month, talking about a different subject that will highlight different sorts of awareness or topics that involve the health of women and babies. And so I wanted to bring her back. She's going to be back the first Thursday of every single month. So go ahead and put that on your calendar. The first Thursday of every single month, Miss Monique Weeks of Embody Options is going to be here on the Marie Mott Show, talking to you guys about things that you probably never hear, things that you probably never talk about, things that we need to know as a community to ensure that women, and in particular, as they get pregnant and when they have babies, that we, number one, make sure that they are safe and they are healthy. And then when they give birth, that the baby is safe and healthy. And so there are many things that we need to learn, and me especially, because one day I want to have children. And so these are not conversations that you hear a lot. So today we're talking about birth defects prevention and cervical health awareness. And so without further ado, we have here in the lovely orange sherbet shirt, we have Miss Monique Weeks. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am well, and thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, I am looking forward to being here every month and sharing with the listening community all things pregnancy, birth, and women's wellness. So thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm glad to see you in the new year. And so just give people who may not have heard you last year on the show just another introduction of who you are and,
your business, and what do you do as far as women health and babies?
Okay, well, as Marie stated, my name is Monicholas Garner Weeks, and I am a resident here in Hamilton County, Chattanooga. I relocated here with my family about 4.5 years ago, and I'm a perinatal support specialist. So I am what is commonly referred to as a doula. I provide support to women who are pregnant, and I support them during their pregnancy and when they go in the hospital to labor and give birth. I'm also a community childbirth educator, and I am a lactation specialist and educator. I host classes for pretty much everything that's related to pregnancy and childbirth. And I also host a support group for African American women who choose to breastfeed. And I also educate young women and women in general about womb wellness. So how to take care of your womb to keep it as healthy as possible. So that's who I am, and that's what I do. I'm the founder of Embody Options Perinatal Support Services.
Yes, ma'am. And so today we're going to be talking about, we'll start with birth defects prevention. So what in the world is that for maybe somebody who's like, what, birth defects? Maybe I've seen somebody with something like maybe a cleft palate or what have you. So what is the reason why for like part of January is for birth defects, and then we'll get into cervical health on the second half of the segment. But why is it, how do you prevent someone from having a child with birth defects? Is that possible?
Yes, it is. There are, well, birth defects is a condition in pregnancy, and when the child is born, it is a thing where it can affect any part of the body of the child. Some birth defects are preventable, and then there are some birth defects which are not preventable. So some birth defects that people are aware of, cleft palate, as you mentioned, where there's a hole in the lip of the child, spina bifida, Down syndrome, and there's a whole host and list of various birth defects that you can find on, you can Google it, or the CDC website or what have you, that lists all the various birth defects that a child can be born with. And so it's really, really important to go and seek prenatal help as soon as you find out that you're pregnant, and having conversations even before you're pregnant with your healthcare provider if you're of age and you know that one day you want to have children. There are certain measures that you can begin to take, even before you even start trying to have a baby, that can help lessen the incidence of birth defects.
What does that even look like?
Having a conversation. Having a conversation with your provider and just letting them know.
I think a lot of people are intimidated by doing that.
Well, they shouldn't be. It's about women's health. And if you are not an advocate for your body, who else is going to be an advocate for your body? You know? So you should never be intimidated. And just have an open conversation with your gynecologist or your family practitioner that, you're looking forward to becoming, a mom one day, and you like to give birth to children. And, some common sense things are what you would do, in terms of your diet, not abusing alcohol or using recreational drugs, starting to take, folic acid, but more importantly, the folate, which can be found and done in just various foods that you eat that are rich in folate, and things like that. So having those conversations and just getting your body prepared. We get prepared for anything else, so why not get your body prepared to get ready to bring a new life into this world?
Absolutely. How common are birth defects? Are they fairly common? Do they happen often?
They are fairly common. 1 in 33 children are born with birth defects.
Wow.
So here in the United States, that equates to about 120,000 infants who are born with birth defects.
Every year?
Every year. Yes.
Oh, man.
And so it's 1 in 33 per 100,000 children that are born with some type of birth defect. Yeah. So it's fairly common.
It's fairly common. So what are some of the steps that you would recommend for someone who's coming into any of the programs or things that you have as far as being aware about these issues?
Well, in the classes that I teach, especially my community childbirth education class, which is open to anyone who is pregnant at any stage of their pregnancy, there's really no reason at this point in Chattanooga for any woman to go into or to go throughout her pregnancy without having education to be prepared for what's going to happen to her body during the pregnancy and what's going to happen during labor and childbirth. I do offer one class a month that is free to the community. And I also have a paid class that is offered monthly as well. But I cover a lot of education in that class. It's not facility specific. That's why it is why I call it community childbirth education. I share with the attendees anything and everything that they need to know about pregnancy, labor, and childbirth. It's a one-day class, so you're not having to come out for a series of 6 classes or 4 classes or 8 classes. 1 8-hour day that includes lunch. And you find out everything that you need to find out to prepare yourself and to go back and take the information that I give you and have those conversations with your provider, because pregnancy is very, you have to ebb and flow with it. You know, there's no one cookie cutter way in each pregnancy. Even if you've been pregnant before, you'll learn something, and the conversation is going to be different with your provider every single time, because you never know.
You're coming in with more information, and I think that's why most people are intimidated by talking to their provider about their health, is because we don't talk about a lot of these things. So we don't know the questions to ask. We don't know. We don't know if we hear something like, "Well, doc, I don't think that's right," because the doctor is not always right, right? So there may be even things that we might need to challenge, because first of all, we begin to I think something else is we don't begin to understand our bodies. You know, right. I can say coming through high school, you just have like a brief overview. Oh, you have boobs and ovaries and it's kind of done. So there never is these additional conversations that you have about, okay, how do I start taking care of all of the various parts of my body to ensure that, number one, I'm a healthy human being no matter what. But number two, and specifically when I'm looking towards having another life flow through me, that me and the baby are going to have a as safe experience as possible, as well as a safe delivery.
Right. I agree with you. Preconception health is not a normal conversation in most households. And preconception health and sexual and reproductive health it's a little bit different, but they're all intertwined, because at the end of the day, it is about the health of a woman's body or a female's body. And so those are conversations that should be had in the home. And if the mom isn't comfortable for whatever reason having those discussions with her daughter, there are organizations in town that have groups where you can sign your daughter up, and a lot of them welcome the moms to stay with the daughter, and they can learn reproductive health as well as preconception health. And sexual education, again, it's not saying, okay, it's okay for you to go out and have sex, but knowing and being educated about it has more power than not knowing. It's usually a lot of young people who do not know, and they get their information that's not evidence-based, or they get information from their peers that's not accurate, and they partake in risky behavior, which then once they become, in this case, possibly pregnant, that brings with it a whole lot of, it's just a whole nother level. And so I do take time out for pregnant teens and really educate them and really help them to understand what's going to happen during pregnancy and during childbirth, because they need to be aware. And as we're speaking about birth defects, one of the ways that you can lessen the incidence for the birth defects that are preventable is, again, seeking prenatal help as soon as you find out you're pregnant. In addition to that, avoiding any sexually transmitted diseases or infections, which we know with the teen population, it runs rampant and it runs high. And if you do not get those diseases treated, the ones that can be treated, then it is a great chance that your child may end up having some type of birth defect when you give birth to them. So it's really, really important. Not, again, limiting your alcohol consumption, limiting your drug use, if you are a substance abuser. Those things are preventable ways. So, it's really about becoming educated and valuing your body and taking care of your body, both preconception as well as prenatal.
And what are some of the things that community members can do? Because I know one of the things that happens a lot, or I've seen just happen a lot, is sometimes the parents can't really deal with a child, or maybe it's taboo, taboo sometimes, and in particular, especially like coming up in the church brings like a whole nother dynamic, especially if you're a teen mom. So what are some of the things that maybe community members can do to help support it, women who may not have a spouse, or women who may not have this education, or just women maybe who just don't have someone looking after them? What are some of the things that maybe you think that community members can do to be there for them?
There's a lot that the community can do. There is always something that the community can do to help a woman who is pregnant and about to give birth, no matter if it's her first child or her 12th child. There is a lack today of an outpouring of community support for women during their perinatal period. That is why doulas tend to be a very important key integral in providing care, both prenatally as a birth doula, as well as postpartum doulas who work with the moms after they've given birth, because all too often everything is all wonderful and whatnot while the individual is pregnant. And once they go in to have the baby, everything is centered on the baby. And then once they transition and go home, they're just left to figure things out. And that's not what community used to be about. You had women who went to women and helped them out during their what used to be called the laying in period, your first 6 weeks after you've given birth, where they would bring food to the mom, where they would just go to her to talk to her and to make sure she's okay and doing okay, if she's sleeping okay, is she eating, because it can be quite overwhelming, again, no matter if you're a first-time mom or if you've given birth 12 times previously, because everybody's situation is different. You may have, you may be married and have a spouse, but your spouse works out of state a lot of times, and so your spouse isn't there to give you a hand. And your other family members may be scattered. So there's this mom who was left just trying to figure things out with this new baby. And so doulas are very effective, and there are many studies out that have proven how effective a doula is, both during the birth, as far as birth support, as well as postpartumly, with so much postpartum mental disorders. Doulas are very much the first ones who can identify if something is going wrong with that mom and she needs additional resources and support. So if someone puts a doula on their baby registry, which a lot of people do, you know, where they try to get the funds to be able to afford a doula. So if that's what she has on her baby shower list, I would say community wholeheartedly support her. The other thing that they can do is get them out to childbirth education classes and whatnot. There's various classes in the community, be it hospital-based or community-based like mine, or hiring a private childbirth educator, lactation educator. And so those are ways that the community.
Stay tuned for the second half of the segment.
3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news. Now,
hundreds of Chattanoogans are set to be displaced by the end of this month. The owner of Chat City Suites told residents they have to pack up and leave. Reason being, the parent company decided not to renew the lease. Several nonprofits have stepped in to help. The Cleveland Police Department is trying to track down Casey Nicole Carter, who hasn't been seen since November. Reports say she left home with an unknown man in a white VW Jetta. Police believe they may be headed to Georgia. She'd been just released from the Bradley County Justice Center. Hamilton County Sheriff Jim Hammond assured the public he's not going to resign over the Charles Toney debacle. He was quoted by the TFP saying, "The only time I would resign is if I was doing something illegal, unethical, or immoral." Charles Toney, a.k.a. Interstate Tax, was badly beaten by a deputy during an arrest. An internal investigation is ongoing. The Sean Hannity Show every weekday from 3 to 6. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, Talk 92.7 Action News. Now,
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Hey folks, Jeff Stiles here, talk radio host and infamous technophobe. But I got to tell you, this Facebook Live that Nooga Radio does, it makes sense to me. It really does. Now, we're at 92.7 on the FM dial, but really where you need to go is NoogaRadio.com and just do the streaming audio, 8 to 10 a.m. The first hour is mostly just me just throwing commentary on top of the news. The second hour is me frustrating and irritating you beyond all belief. NoogaRadio.com. Don't miss it. Every weekday.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Listen up, y'all. This is Ben Phillips with Home Rate Mortgage right here in Chattanooga. I'm in the business of saving people money. And if you want to save money, you need to pick that cell phone up right now. 805-9100. I just helped a doctor with a $400,000 mortgage. It closed in just 24 days. We lowered his rate by over 4%, saving his family $394,000 in mortgage interest payments. And get this, several lenders told this doctor he was stuck in his loan. What was the difference? He called the mortgage doctors at Home Rate Mortgage right here in Chattanooga, 805-9100. What would 10 minutes on the phone with Home Rate Mortgage do for you? Get that cell phone out right now, 805-9100. Let us prescribe you a better solution for you to reach your financial goals. Just give us a call right now, 805-9100, or online at homeratemortgage.com.
Turn a house into a home rate mortgage.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
The Mad Philly Sandwich Shop on Shallowford Road across from Mountain View Service Center presents How to Speak Philadelphian and its Southern translation.
Hey, forget about it.
Hey, don't worry.
Just shut up and eat it.
Now go eat what's on your plate.
Hey, Rose, did you get the shopping cart?
Hey, Rose, get the buggy.
The Mad Philly Sandwich Shop, just off Route 153 on Shallowford Road across from Mountain View Service Center.
It's a good Philly, y'all.
The radio, Chattanooga weather.
Lots of clouds, but drier out there for your afternoon. Highs settling into the lower 50s. Tonight, lows into the upper 40s. The rain returns late. Rain early Friday, tapering off the showers for the afternoon. Highs into the upper 50s with more sunshine and great-looking weather for the weekend. Get ready for the heart of winter with Dodge City Ski Shop, featuring the largest selection of cold weather clothing around, as well as the area's only ski machine for that big winter trip. That's Dodge City, East Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. And I'm Storm Gene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick 4.
The radio 92.7.
Oh, it's your girl. That's right. It's Marie Mott with the Marie Mott Show. And y'all know what it is. Today we're talking about women's health. We started off talking about birth defects with Miss Monique Weeks of Embody Options. And we're going to get into, on this part of the segment, cervical health awareness. Your womb. Right? Oh man. Like you feel like when you hear the word womb, like it's like an old school, like it's an old school term. Womb. But you said you had a correction that you want to give to the people.
Yes, I have a correction. In terms of the statistic that I gave, it's 1 out of every 33 babies born per 10,000
per 10,000
live births. So again, it is a relatively small number. It happens pretty frequently. So it's all the more reason to find out, how you can, for all those birth defects that are preventable, how you can be in optimal health to give your baby the best start going forward.
Absolutely. And so for those of you out there who are just now tuning in, one of the things that we left off with the first part of this segment is that there are quite a few birth defects that are absolutely preventable, but are based on the choices that women make about their bodies and their relationship with their provider. So whether it is having conversations before you get pregnant about your health, one thing you should definitely do research on and understand is your family history for your health. So knowing what diseases and things that you're prone to or that members in your family have, and having conversations with your provider about things. It's taking folic acid, and you said folates, correct? Is that correct?
Right. You wanna concentrate more on the form in folate.
Folate, okay.
Yes. Which will bring about folic acid.
Okay.
So a lot of people get confused with that. So folate is pretty important. And again, it's included in a lot of foods that you eat. So it's not a mineral that is really hard to get a hold of. It's included in a lot of the foods that we eat in the standard American diet. So, and if you find that you're deficient in any way in getting the required daily amount, then you can look into taking a supplement form.
Absolutely. And Miss Monique Weeks of InBody Options has community classes, right?
I do.
Community classes.
I have all kinds of classes.
Just all kinds of classes, right? For you, the listener, for you as a young lady or even one of age. We don't know it all. We have to have conversations. We have to talk. We have to share information. Information is constantly updated all the time about different things as we begin to discover things in medicine and in the medical field. So we need to get into these spaces, number one, where we can just I feel like in particular, when it comes to women's health, or just in a lot of instances, people's health in general, there's almost taboo that comes with it, or shame that comes with it, and a lot of ignorance that comes with understanding our bodies. And so the way that we start getting to being advocates for our health as well as responsible for our bodies is if we get around people, whether you're a man or a woman, and start talking about your health and start talking about some of these things that we experience as women and sometimes as women of color. And we start tearing down stereotypes. We start tearing down the discomfort of being able to go into a doctor's office and feeling like you're just waiting on the doctor to tell you everything to do, but you can begin to ask questions and sometimes even challenge your doctor to understand what's going on within your body. Because that's something we talked about before, is sometimes what women experience a lot in health is we do go to our doctors with concerns because we know our body, right? And sometimes we're not believed.
That is true. That is true. Sadly, it is true more often than it is not true. And again, it becomes about you being your own best advocate for your body and having autonomy on your body, for your body. And as it relates to pregnancy, the birth experience that you envision, because it is your process, you're going to do it. So no matter who teaches you, who provides service, that experience is going to be with you for the remainder of your life. So you want it to be as positive as it could possibly be. And that's where getting education is, I can't stress it enough how important it is. Again, no matter what number pregnancy it is for you, because again, you can have had, numerous children vaginally, and all of a sudden something goes wrong and you're going back for surgical birth, which is a cesarean section. If you're not educated on that and know what to expect, it's a lot and it's very overwhelming. So coming out to get the education and just being prepared and knowing the questions to ask, because while providers do their very best to educate you, they have a patient load that is very heavy most oftentimes, and they don't necessarily give you all the information that you need to prepare yourself properly. And a lot of providers, they won't even say, go take a childbirth education class. They assume that you know to go take a childbirth education class. Or if you're going to breastfeed, go take a lactation and breastfeeding specific class. You may be a new, first time mom and have never really handled a baby before, or even the dads, because again, the dads, we got to pull them into it, or birth partner may have never handled a baby before and don't know how to change a diaper, oh, they're going to go home. I have to bathe them. And they're slippery. How do I handle that? So you would come out for a parenting 101 class. So these are classes that I do offer in the community. They're all group-based classes. I offer my classes at 3 different locations in the city this year.
Okay.
Downtown at the Edney will be some classes. Brainerd Rec over on Northmore Road. And I am happy that I'm partnering up with Sacred Roots Holistic Wellness Center that will be having their open house this Saturday.
Okay.
So it's not hard to find a class if you want to come out for a class taught by me. And again, if not taught by me, then search online and find a provider and go get the education so that you can be educated and empowered in your birth.
And before we get into cervical health, shout out how people can reach out to you, how they can find out more information after we get off the air, like on Facebook or any contact information you want to give them.
Well, people can get in touch with me by on Facebook. It's the letter M, Body, BODY, Options, OPTIONS. And it's with the little profile picture of 3 pregnant women, because there's other Embody Options out there. On Twitter, the same thing, Embody Options. You can email me at embodyoptions@gmail.com, or you can call me at 317. That's the area code, 317-7-EMBODY-7 or 762-6397. So that's 317-762-6397.
And for my Facebook listeners, I'm going to tag her in the social media video. So just in case, you can send her an inbox if you would like. So y'all know what I do. I plug you in. So
and all of my classes are listed under the events tab.
Cool.
On my Facebook business page, and then you can also look under my services tab, and it lists all of the services that I offer in the community outside of the classes. So my doula services, some of my artistic services that I also do. So you can find out anything you want to find out about Embody Options on Facebook.
Awesome. So you heard that. So you can go under the events tab. You can click that you are going if you want to save it, if you're interested. So it will save it as well. As she said, you can go under the service tab just in case you want to see what options, because she said Embody Options with an S. So what options she's going to offer outside of classes as well. So there's a wide variety of ways Miss Monique Weeks is here to help you and assist you, right? Because we want you to not only be pregnant, we want you to be we want you to be safe while you're pregnant. And then we don't want you to be overwhelmed once you have a baby, because having a baby changes your life. You're changed forever.
That is true. That is true.
And sometimes I've seen, in particular, a lot of women struggle to get into routines and stuff because they're starting a life with a new life and they don't know what to do. So, again, for those who are just now tuning in, Miss Weeks is going to be here all year. As long as I'm alive, she's going to be here on the show with me once a month. So just go ahead and put that on your calendar. Every first Thursday of the month, Miss Weeks is going to be here talking about something different. So it's a lot that we're going to learn. We got 12 months in a year, so a lot that we're going to cover. And right now we're going to cover cervical health. What in the world is that?
Cervical health. Well, cervical health has to do with your cervix. And cervical health basically is the awareness piece about it is to help decrease incidence of cervical cancer. As a woman, we all know every year we go to our gynecologist for that fun test that we get done called the pap smear, and
necessary, but still
necessary. It's a necessary evil, but we have to go through it if we want to be in optimal health.
Yes, ma'am.
And so the pap smear helps to detect incidence of cervical cancer in addition to other things. And so cervical health is just bringing awareness to how important this is, and ways we can prevent, taking charge of our bodies. Again, it's about taking charge of our bodies as women and doing the necessary things to make sure that we're on the positive side. And if something pops up, we find out about it again as soon as possible so that we can effectively go about seeking out treatment.
And so is a pap smear like the only thing you can do as far as, so I know that's for detection, but are there things that you can do that would prevent you, to help prevent you from getting cervical cancer? What are some of the ways that you can take care of your womb?
Well, according to the CDC, one of the other ways that you can go about helping to not get cervical cancer is the HPV vaccine. And I know there's a lot of speculation about vaccines. However, from the CDC perspective, the HPV vaccine is one of the additional steps that you can take as it pertains to cervical health. And again, depending on your lifestyle or what have you, that may be for you. That may be something that you do not want to partake in, and it's absolutely your choice, but it is an option.
Okay.
And so between the HPV vaccine and getting routine examinations, such as your pap smear with your provider, those are the ways to help to prevent cervical cancer.
So if I'm not interested in doing a vaccination, like what are some of the conversations that you have with women, maybe in your classes, about taking care of their womb from maybe a holistic perspective?
From a holistic perspective, taking care of your womb, it doesn't require a whole lot.
Really?
As powerful as it is, it doesn't require a whole lot.
I don't know why I feel like it would be complex.
It really isn't. It's about lifestyle and choices.
Okay.
Bottom line, your diet. Okay. And we hear it,
all the time.
All the time. But diet is like super important. Again, common sense things. You just have to take care of your body.
Take care of yourself is really what she's saying, Marie.
Really take care of your body, because while some people indulge more than others with different activities, you have to think about what is going to be the end result of what I'm doing. So if you are one, again, who happens to drink alcohol, you are one that utilizes recreational drugs or substance abuse, how is that going to affect me overall? And I know it's not, if you're one that delves into it heavily, those aren't things that you think about because it's just not at the top of your mind at that point. But taking care of your womb, just not inserting unnecessary objects in your womb, cleanliness.
I mean, doing that.
Honestly, these days, you never know.
Oh my!
So, I just educate. I just educate. Don't take on any challenges. With women, I'm like all over social media last year. These new glitter bombs.
Glitter bombs.
Glitter bombs.
See, I guess because I don't
glitter bomb
in your womb. Glitter. What in the world?
People like to sprinkle glitter, yes, but so in unnecessary things like that, which again, what will be the end result if you
Could
kept
lead to
using? It can lead to
infection.
infections.
And
right.
So also, one of the things you kind of touched on just a little bit on the first part of the segment is we have a real problem, and we haven't talked about this, and I hope maybe we could talk about this at some point, or maybe I'll talk about this, is STDs in Hamilton County are on the rise. Like I remember last year we did so me and my cousin and several other young ladies, we did a brunch called Dreams Do Come True Brunch, where we did it for young ladies, and we fed them, and we had a good time. And we did, awesome. We did different panels. If we get that together again, we have to bring you in the fold so you can talk to them about health. But one of the things was April Taylor, who is a nurse, was talking about, she gave like a color-coded map of STDs for like AIDS and different things. And I was like, what in the world? Like, I just didn't know it was like super bad out here. Folks, it is super bad. So even STDs and just not protecting yourself if you are going to have sex can increase the likelihood of birth defects as well as cervical cancer, correct? It can, well, it may not decrease cervical cancer, but it can keep your womb healthy. Okay. Because again, every time a woman has some type of sexually transmitted infection, that takes a toll on her womb. And some sexually transmitted infections can actually end up making the woman not able to have children in the future. Because some of them go undetected. So the longer that they go undetected, it's wreaking havoc on your reproductive system. So who wants to go through that because they did not value or really seek out the help that they need while they were, engaging in risky behavior. And if you're not in a committed relationship, we all know, or you should know, that having safe sex saves wombs, helps to save wombs, and helps to save lives. Absolutely.
So
we can't be bashful talking about that.
No, you can't. No, you can't, and you shouldn't be.
Vaginal steaming? What?
I saw that steaming, one of my favorite subjects. Vaginal steaming, which there are a couple of young ladies that'll be offering vaginal steaming at Sacred Roots Holistic Wellness. I am in the process of getting certified to become a vaginal steam practitioner. And when I was talking about it, everybody thought, what in the world would you want to do that? But vaginal steaming is an ancient practice.
Really?
Actually, women have been doing it forever. And it is herbs that are utilized to help to tonify and balance. It's a good thing.
Okay. Mott with Mott Show. Miss Monique Weeks with Embody Options. Please reach out to her on social media. Y'all know what it is. If no one is taking the time today to tell you that they love you, I love you. And guess what? There's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Mott Show.
3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news. Now,
hundreds of Chattanoogans are set to be displaced by the end of this month. The owner of Chat City Suites told residents they have to pack up and leave. Reason being the parent company decided not to renew the lease. Several nonprofits have stepped in to help. The Cleveland Police Department is trying to track down Casey Nicole Carter, who hasn't been seen since November. Reports say she left home with an unknown man in a white VW Jetta. Police believe that they may be headed to Georgia. She'd been just released from the Bradley County Justice Center. Hamilton County Sheriff Jim Hammond assured the public he's not going to resign over the Charles Toney debacle. He was quoted by the TFP saying, "The only time I would resign is if I was doing something illegal, unethical, or immoral." Charles Toney, a.k.a. Interstate Tax, was badly beaten by a deputy during an arrest. An internal investigation is ongoing. The Sean Hannity Show every weekday from 3 to 6. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk.